finding a company that stands up to your test, to your values, to your beliefs, gosh, sometimes it can be really, really hard. I am always looking for better products that meet my criteria and hopefully a lot of other people's criteria for protecting people and for taking care of our health, our wellness, our comfort, and doing so in a responsible manner. And it can be really challenging. And I want to support companies that are doing good, that are really working hard to align their values with a lot of other people's values, that are really aligning their values for the bigger, better plan, for the good of many, and aren't just focused on making money at any cost. And this has been a growing, definitely a growing area of interest. The younger the generations, the more this is of importance to them. And it's becoming a really great deal and a really big deal.
Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat, and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, work, and play. Join your host, Marla Esser-Close, the Green Home Coach, to learn how everyday green homes work for you, your family, and your community.
So hi, y'all. I'm Marla, the Green Home Coach, and thank you so much for joining me on the Everyday Green Home podcast. I am so excited that I get to bring this information to you, and I have had so many opportunities to work with and to meet so many people doing so much good. And I dug back into the archives from a few years ago and pulled out this episode with Gail Garey talking about businesses that are forces for good. This is a growing group. Oh my gosh, I got on the website the other day and it is just really, really grown. So if you haven't heard of B corporations or B certified corporations, this is an independent certification for businesses. And anybody that's followed me or listened to me for a while knows how big I am on certifications. And they are a great way to take that third-party independent verification to know that you are actually working with what you think you are. So lots of certifications for products, right, that we've talked about. Now, this is a certification for companies. The B certified corporations are in all kinds of products and companies that make products that use every day. You may not even know it. So there's some really big names in there. Gail and I talk a lot about this. We talk about the importance of B certified corporations, and we talk about how you can use this information to help you support companies and buy from companies that align with your values. So tune in, listen for sure of how you can find B certified corporations to work in your life. And as always, shout out your opinions, your questions, feedback, and let me know what you think. Enjoy the listen.
Today I have with me Gail Garey. And Gail, you're actually out in Colorado, aren't you?
I am in the northwest part of the state.
That sounds so good. I've had so many people that have been camping out in Colorado to get, a vacation in of sorts, but a COVID safe vacation. I guess that's a word to use. But oh my gosh, I love Colorado in the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about what you do out in Colorado and how we met. And then we'll introduce some of the things that you're getting ready to do on the podcast.
Well, great. Thank you, Marla. Thanks for having me on your show today. And hello to everyone. I really appreciate this opportunity. A little bit of a background as Marla mentioned, I'm here in Northwest Colorado. And yes, we have a lot of great places to camp. So seeing a lot of people, as you say, coming in, kind of changing their vacation plans and modifying and shifting, right? Pivoting, doing what we need to do at this stage in the game. I worked in kind of primarily in the corporate world, but I've always loved, being outdoors. Nature's my therapy, whether it's running or whether it's hiking with my dogs. Again, we're here in Northwest Colorado, so we get a lot of snow.
Yeah.
So we cross country ski and also kind of work in my garden, which again can be a challenge. The last couple of nights it's been in the 30s. So
wow.
You have to do a little extra work to make sure you don't lose your plants at this stage in the game. A couple of years ago, I left my corporate career really to pursue a career that was more aligned with my passion. And that's really where we met.
Yeah.
Right. When I interviewed you for a video series that I was hosting called Let's Save the Planet, Easy Everyday Tips to Empower Yourself and to Protect the Environment Now. And out of that has grown a bi-monthly email that I send out that has tips that we as individuals can take to live a more environmentally conscious life. And really, the impetus behind that interview series is that there are so many people and so many companies that are doing a lot of great work in this space in terms of fighting climate change and doing research and taking various different actions. So, the goal of the interview series really, was to talk to different people like yourself who have an expertise, who could, talk to us about what you're doing, what you've learned, and more importantly, share tips that we as individuals can take to make a difference, right? Things that we could incorporate into our daily lives. We as individuals are, extraordinarily busy.
We used to be. Now we are in a different way.
Right, exactly. Things have slowed down a little bit, but as you say, in a different way. And it's really, about providing input and information to people so that we can, take actions and things what can we do on our daily lives that's going to be easy to incorporate into our lifestyle. So that was really the goal of the interview series. I'm really excited because I'm in the process right now of launching a consulting business, Impact 360 Strategies. It's a consulting firm that is going to guide and empower business professionals to accelerate environmentally and socially responsible, sustainable business practices that improve the bottom line and create positive social change. And
that's mouthful.
It is, isn't it? Exactly. But I think it's easier than it sounds.
Yes, I would agree. And one of the things that you and I really discovered very quickly that we had in common and we're both very passionate about is finding ways for people to take action, because we both so much agreed that taking action is what matters. And we're hearing that with everything going on with the pandemic, with everything going on with social and racial injustices, and just how we treat each other. And this really, I try not to go down the road of the rabbit hole of the politics. However, I love all people. We all need to figure out how to act that way. And that's what you and I have always been about, from, granted more of the environmental, the sustainability, the world, and how do we do that? And one of the things that I really have started trying to focus on more is that this tie between our own personal health and wellness and the health and the wellness of this huge world and community we live in are very tightly bound. And we have, for some reason, siloed so many things in our life that seems to have gotten lost. And I truly hope that all of the things that are happening will help us remember that it all connects. So any actions that any of us can take add up. They all add up. And I just appreciate so many people out there that are doing their part to help others. And, it's kind of like tell a friend, you can do this. And that was a great part of being on your video series. And I really did appreciate that opportunity to have that conversation with you and share it with a larger community. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you. As I said, you provided a lot of great information in terms of, things that we can do to make our homes greener and healthier. Because I absolutely agree with you that our health is intrinsically tied to the health of the planet.
Yes. And there's, oh my gosh, so many studies, so much research that is showing the tie, and even the tie between, the environmental side. And that's not just the eco stuff. That's all aspects of our environment. The social side, all of the people related pieces, and then the governance side, or the way we structure ourselves, our organizations and our businesses. And this whole ESG model is one that you and I had chatted about. And then Suzanne Shelton from the Shelton Group and I had a podcast and recorded conversation about. And that's a way, there's different programs out there that allow, as the people that are making decisions with our pocketbook about what to do in our lives and what to do in our homes, that's giving us kind of the cliff notes, I guess, as to what companies are doing, so we know where we want to align, where we want to buy, what stock we want to buy even. And you're leaping into this world with another type of, I guess, marker. I don't know whatever word to call it. But give us a quick introduction to what you're getting ready to do, and then we'll take a break after a quick breather, and then we're going to come back after that break and really dive in. But give us, a couple of minutes of what is up next for you.
Okay. As I said, I'm starting a consulting firm, and really, one part of that is to grow the awareness of the B Corporation movement and to work with purpose-driven companies that want to be certified as a B Corporation. And you talked a little bit about the ESG standards, and and B Corporations really it's a certification. And the reason I love the B Corporation movement, it's because that's the way that we as consumers can tell the difference between a good company and a company that just has good marketing.
So tell us a little bit more about what a B Corp is, a B Corporation. Mm-hmm. And of course, we're going to leave all of our lovely listeners with some links so you can go read more about this on your own. Because it's not a lot to digest, but there is more detail there. Real quickly.
Yeah, I think the most important thing about the B Corporation and the certified B Corporation is that there's a logo, right? And that any B certified corporation has a logo, so you can tell that company or that product is a B Corporation. And, B Corporations are really companies that marry profits with purpose. It's a company that's committed to working for environmental and social benefit, as well as making a profit. And we'll go into it, I think, in our next segment, but there's it's an independent assessment that is done by a third-party nonprofit called B Lab.
And y'all know, anybody that's listened to my show for a while knows how hot I am on independent third-party certifications, because it's a way for somebody else to say you've actually done it. And I'm hoping that we will find over time ways to bring more of the smaller companies into the certification folds, because it is such a great way for the rest of us to know that the research has been done and we don't have to do it ourselves. So you guys hang tight. We're going to come in back in just a moment. We're going to dive into what B Corps are, how they become one, and better yet, how you find them. Hang on. You probably don't have the time, resources, or know-how to research and shop for better options for you and your world. That's why I've done it for you. The Everyday Green Home Shop is my curated collection of better products for a safer, healthier, more comfortable life in your home. Through simple buying choices, you can change your home easily. My book laid out the how to do it. Now, the Everyday Green Home Shop gives you a place to put those ideas into action with your buying choices. I invite you to look through the online shop and choose an item or two to swap for something you usually buy for your home. Once you make a selection, it will take you to one of my trusted affiliate sites or the Amazon site you already use. Super easy. Products on Everyday Green Home range from indoor-outdoor rugs made from recycled plastic to my husband's favorite reusable silicone straw that fits in his pocket. I look for third-party independent green labels or go through a trusted third-party verification process to validate the products I curate for you. Go to everydaygreenhome.com for what you need to create a stylish, safer, and healthier home easily. We are still gabbing on the Everyday Green Home podcast with Gail, talking about B Corps or B Corporations. That almost sounds funny, doesn't it? B Corp. So Gail, what is a B Corporation?
B Corporations are companies that marry profits with purpose. It's a company that's committed to working for environmental and social benefit, as well as to make a profit. As we've talked about briefly, to become a B Corp or become a B Corporation, the company must go through a rigorous independent third-party verification process by the nonprofit entity B Lab to ensure that they meet the highest verified standards of social and environmental performance, legal accountability, and transparency.
So this is actually a certification for the company, not their individual products.
No, exactly. It's absolutely for the company. And I think that's something to remember, is that the certified B Corporation is about the company, but it's similar to like the USDA, organic seal, right, is to produce, or LEEDs are to building, or fair trade is to coffee, but B Corp is a certification of a company.
And I love that combination, so that you can have a company that's B Corp certified, and then they make products that meet other certification programs depending on what industry they're in. Mm-hmm. So it can be both. It should be both.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And so, as I say, the B Corp certification it's very rigorous. And as you said, it basically looks at the company's operations. It looks at the company's business model. It looks at how does it impact its workers? How does it impact its community, its environment, its customers? And it looks at a wide variety of different issues and operations from from the company's supply chain and the materials that it uses, as you were talking about, in terms of its products. It also looks at what's the company's charitable giving record. How does it treat its employees? What are the benefits? What kind of policies and procedures does the company have in place for its company? So it looks at both the day-to-day kind of operations of the company, as well as, the environmental impacts, and also kind of really what's the business model for the company. And the assessment is being continually updated. It's robust. It's dynamic. It's very specific to the industry. It's also specific to where's the company located? What's the size of the company? And the company, in order to become a B certified company, they must score at least 80 out of 200 in terms of, on the scorecard.
So why does a company want to be a B Corp?
Because it marries its purpose, right? And it's because they're mission-driven companies, right? They're companies that are taking care of their employees, right? They already are environmentally conscious. They're socially conscious. And it's a way to...
So it's a way for them to prove it.
Right. It's a way for them to distinguish their brand. It is a third-party independent certification. As I say, there is the B certification logo that is on their product. It's on their website. So
that you have to earn, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Like any other certification logo.
Right. Yeah. It's not on your logo. It's not on your label or on your website until you have passed the certification process. And that also includes providing, documents that support the way you've answered the questions. A big part of this also is codifying your practices, so that they are more likely to be adhered to as well.
That makes sense. It's very much like the processes I'm familiar with for product certifications, yet on a much grander scale. Probably the only other one I can think of that is kind of similar would be the cradle to cradle certification, where it's an entire process and it can include the plant and where things are made. But I don't think that's really even the whole company. Mm-hmm. I know that one's evolved quite a bit since I started tracking it. But here's the point I think that you and I are both making. I hope so. And for our listeners' sake, I hope we're making this, is certifications such as B Corp and even product certifications take the guesswork out. For us, the buying public or making decision public for us who we want to do business with. And that's hard. Oh my gosh. Pre-COVID, let me take that back. I finally went into a store Friday, and it's Monday today. And I went with the old people time, early in the morning, because I'm taking care of older folks. And that was pretty good. But that's the first time I'd been in a store since like mid-March. And it felt weird. But what I know, because I have certain products that I know I like and I support, I can walk into a store and I have my map in my head of where I go for what products I buy. And what things these certifications have helped is helped me to make that map, because it makes it really easy for me to know that this product does what it says it's going to do. It supports my values, and there's an alignment. And I'm assuming that's what B Corp is out to also help with, is to give us that guidance.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, just a couple of other things on the process, again, really just to reassure everybody that's listening that it is indeed, as you say, it's a certification you can purchase with confidence. They do require, as I said, the documentation that supports that they have these practices in place. They also do a review with B Lab to basically go in and make sure that, the questions and the answers are clear, that the documents are in place. And then the other thing that I like and love is what's required is that the company also basically has to update their corporate structure to align its legal structure with the company's mission. So again, right, that provides the legal protection to consider, non-financial stakeholders, such as the environmental impact when the company's making a decision. So it ensures that the mission of the company is protected through time, including changes in management.
I just love the idea that mission is actually embodied in everyday life for a company, because I'm sorry, but there's companies out there that pay it lip service and don't practice what they preach. And this is a way of knowing that a company is practicing what they're preaching. At least that's how I visualize it. And I do business with a number of B Corps. Matter of fact, you and I went through some of the products that are on Everyday Green Home on the online green shop. And fortunately, there's a handful, and there's more that are in the works that are from B Corp certified companies. And brands that we buy every day are on this list. I think my favorite is probably going to have to be maybe Ben & Jerry's.
Absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of companies that are B corporations that we're familiar with. And there's, a lot of companies that are B corporations that we might not be familiar with. As you said, Ben & Jerry's is probably one of the better known B Corp. Patagonia is a B Corp, King Arthur Flour, Eileen Fisher, Tom's Shoes. But then when we get into thinking about our homes, some of the B corporations that are out there include Seventh Generation.
That one's on Everyday Green Home.
Right. That's a product that I use daily, whether, it's with the washing dishes or, toilet paper, right? Paper towels. They even have, the trash bags that have 65% post-consumer recycled plastic.
And Seventh Generation a B Corp, and so is Method, correct? One of the things I love about that is these are two of the companies that have been in the sustainable products probably the longest and the most recognizable. And part of that's because they've gotten in our big box stores. So they're very, very easy to buy. And those were probably, that and Mrs. Meyer's were probably the first products I ever saw on the shelves, back 100 years ago when I started buying. But I will say also, there's a number of smaller, sometimes very small, regional and local companies that are doing really good work, even if they haven't been able to be core certified yet. So there may be times, you lovely listeners, that you may have to make that decision whether you buy from a company that's closer to home, that is fully transparent with their ingredients. And that's the one thing I would say, use as a marker. Are they fully transparent? Because that's one of the key tenets of B Corp is transparency. Correct? I hope.
Yes.
I'm sure they are.
Absolutely. Both. Yeah. Transparency. If you go to the B Corporation website and look up companies, you can also, they're transparent in terms of the scores that they got, their overall score on the 80, right, to 200, as well as how did they score on each one of the different individual categories.
Yeah. So that's a huge piece of this. And the whole idea is for B Corp is not to rule out, companies that may be doing the right thing on a different level, but it is to certainly give you as many options as you can, the people that you know. And for me, the companies that are especially the bigger companies that are B Corps, that's my fallback. That I know that is my baseline, no matter what else. If I have other new products that I'm checking out, great. But they got to at least meet that baseline of what those products from the B Corps are meeting. And it's a great starting point, no matter what you're looking at. Hey, I want our listeners to get some ideas of some of the other products and companies that are out there. So let's take a quick breather. And when we come back, we're going to show you guys, or not show, we're on a podcast. We're going to tell you how to go find the products and the companies that are doing this great work. I have been a bigger supporter than I realized because I wasn't paying as close attention as I should have been to all the products that were meeting these criteria. But yay, I'm so glad they're out there. So just on Everyday Green Home, we found eco bags, which are, oh my gosh, folks, awesome, reusable, organic cotton or recycled cotton, and sometimes both, recycled organic cotton bags of all kinds of shapes and sizes, produce bags, tote bags, fabulous stuff. And oh my gosh, eco bags has been around 20, 30 years, a long time, maybe older, maybe more than that. I should have remembered that. Seventh generation we talked about. And then there's also a company I represent called Plain Products that is a body care products and like moisturizers, shampoo. They came out originally with shampoo and conditioner, and their claim to fame is a subscription program for recyclable and reusable aluminum bottles. Matter of fact, you can see them standing right back there. I know y'all on the podcast can't see, but Gail and I have the video on, so she can see the bottles standing back here. But we did a podcast a few months ago. I did a podcast with the founder, one of the founders of Plain Products. So that's a company that is growing rapidly and took the commitment to become a B Corp. So what else with B Corp products? How do we find them and what do they stand? How do we support them?
Well, I was going to say, one reason that I, love B Corps and why we should support B corporations and their products and their services is because as consumers, we vote with our purchasing power.
Yep.
We make socially conscious decisions every day. We recycle, we volunteer in our communities, we donate to causes that we support. Purchasing products and services from a B certified corporation is a way to align our purchasing power, with our values.
Yeah.
There's a lot of greenwashing today, a lot of marketing and public relation tactics that are out there that frame, companies and products in a much more sustainable way than they really are. So, companies spend a lot more time and resources on the appearance of sustainability than they do, on actually taking any steps to be sustainable. So looking for the B Corporation logo is a way really to shift through that noise. It's a way to identify the companies that are the good companies, the ones that we want to be supporting, the ones that are aligned with our values.
So I'm assuming they go through some kind of a review every few years or so to keep their credentials up to date.
Absolutely. There is a recertification process.
That's a hallmark to me of a really strong certification program because it's an ongoing, it's not just a one-time deal. And hopefully people that are accredited as well as products that are certified and companies that are certified will go through that. Because otherwise we get stale, we get out of date.
Mm-hmm. And B Lab is also continually upgrading and changing the assessment.
That's good. So it's staying fluid as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's not stagnant at all.
So one of the cool things is I was looking through the list of certified B Corps. It ranged from like breweries to big manufacturers and everything in between. I mean, there's even banks on there. So how many companies do we have that are B corporations?
There's about 3,500, just under 3,500 companies that are B corporations. So it does range the gamut in terms of all sorts of different industries in 71 different countries.
So they're all over the place.
Exactly. All across the globe in all different industries.
So if one goes to the B Corporation's website, which is bcorporation.net, there's a search tool on here that I found that allows you to look by state and by industry so that you can find the B Corp in your own. It's called the B Corp directory, and it's at the top of their page. Are there any tricks to searching this, Gail, that you can share with us, or is it pretty straightforward?
We can search the website, or again, I think the best thing to do is either kind of when you're making that purchasing decision or, even going on the company's website. Yes. And they will have the B certification logo on the website. So those are the easiest ways to find out what companies are certified B corporations.
So the directory would be helpful when you are looking for something specific or a specific industry of things to see what's available.
Yes.
Great. Because I know sometimes I'm kind of starting with a blank slate looking for things. Any help I can get is really greatly appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of personal, like we see clothing companies and food companies, any other industries that we're seeing a particularly strong representation in, or is it really pretty much across the board?
It is across the board. It's very diverse in terms of all, as we say, there's 150 different industries that are representative. So there are impact investors,
okay,
service-oriented businesses, there's law firms, as well as, clothing and clean products and renewable energy. So it's very diverse.
So I pulled up, I was just curious because I work a lot in the building industry. So I went and looked at building materials, and there's quite a few. So yeah, check it out. And like you said, look for the logo on the back of the products, because any company that has a certification is certainly going to be sharing that. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing to do. And they actually even have a newsletter if you want to keep up with things. I haven't gotten my first edition yet, so I'm not sure what all's being shared in it.
There's a newsletter that comes out. There's also BeTheChange.com, which is another great website to go and see what the B Corp community is doing. It is a community. It's their thought leaders. They are looking at the new capitalism and how to move business forward and to use business as a force for good. So they really see business as an opportunity to change and impact the global issues that we're facing today. So if Be the Change, there's information out there about climate change. There's information out there about social justice, actions that can be taken to, impact and racism, how we can make a change and do things.
It is all related. This is a great litmus test or a great tool for us to use when we're making our decisions. And I think a lot of us, ironically enough, I think COVID has helped, at least the people I've been talking to, get to rethink how we make decisions and to be much more purposeful and mindful about those decisions. And maybe we don't need to just buy to buy. We want to buy for a purpose. And I'm very hopeful. So if folks want to connect with you and learn more about B Corp, and how can they work with you? How can they get in touch with you? Impact360strategies.com.
So that's Impact360strategies.com. If you are a business and you're interested in learning more about B corporations and the process and how it will help you differentiate your brand, go to the website and sign up for a free assessment call where we can talk about B Corps. And if you're an individual that is interested in learning more about actions that you can take to empower yourself and to protect the environment, you can also sign up on the website to receive the bi-monthly newsletters, our emails, again, that really focus on actions that we can take. And then I would just want to remind everybody that we vote with our dollars.
Yeah.
So again, when we're making a purchase, look for the certified B Corporation logo on the product or on the website and work to align our purchases with our values. And as you said, I think we are at this point moving toward being conscious consumers. We only buy what we need. Let's repurpose where we can. Let's reuse and refuse. We really don't need it, then it can probably stay on the shelf.
Yep. I remember the first time I told somebody in a store I didn't want a bag, they looked at me like I'd grown two heads, but now it's become quite common. So things change, behaviors change. And I know that B Corp has been a part of that change. And I'm really excited that you're going to be doing this and taking all of your corporate experience and processes and knowledge and applying it to be a force for good. So thank you for that service. I personally am grateful, and I think many of our listeners will be too the more they learn about this.
Well, thank you, Marla, and have a beautiful day.
You too, Gail, and enjoy that lovely Colorado weather. We'll be thinking of you. Okay, everybody, have a great green day. Check the show notes for the links, and we'll see you next episode.
That wraps this episode of the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Want more? Join the Love Your Everyday Green Home private Facebook group for more resources and behind-the-scenes insights. And remember that living a little better and greener is easier than you think.